Welcome to On the Corner of Main Street, presented by Plaza Hotel and Casino in downtown Las Vegas. Here is Plaza CEO Jonathan Jossel, Gary Vickery, and I'm your host, Lisa Melmed. It's a big day today.
You're very serious today, Lisa.
I am serious. We are
something's happening.
Dressed professionally.
I know. I might change the dress code for team members.
It does
everyone looks so nice. Everyone's wearing ties and looks good and not sweaters. It's quite nice to have that. I think we might have to go with that now.
Okay, I like it.
No, it's a big day because we have our governor joining us.
Yes, Governor Steve Sisolak is coming on the podcast.
He's been governor now for 3 and something years. And he's obviously had an interesting 3 years with COVID. Mm-hmm. We are not a political podcast. So we are not here to... if anyone's excited
this is
a disclaimer. If anyone's excited that there's a governor coming on and there's going to be some kind of controversy, there isn't. We're here to tell a story about Las Vegas, about downtown, and about what's happening. And I'm excited to have him here. He's obviously had a lot to get through in the last few years. 2 years it is. Mm-hmm. But I think hearing his story, how he came to be, and some of his ideas for the city and state are very important. And I did tell him the last time we saw each other that, it would be nice if he came downtown and saw some of the improvements happening to the plaza. So we just finished a tour.
Mm-hmm. How was it?
It was great. We went to see, I showed him the sand dollar. I showed him some of the other exciting things we're working on for the exterior of the property. His assistant had just been partying at the sand dollar, I think it was last night or maybe it was over the weekend. Mm-hmm. And he, he just had an incident yesterday. It's in the news, all over the news today. It's front page of the news that him and his wife were rudely, what's the right word? What does the article say?
Accosted, assaulted, insulted, all those things.
All those things.
Slurred.
Oh, wow. Yeah, all of those things publicly, which I was shocked he went out for dinner without his security detail, but I guess every now and then a guy wants to go out for dinner on a Sunday night and should be able to without that kind of behavior. So hopefully that never happens again, and hopefully they get what they deserve.
That is horrible that happened.
So I actually, when I read the article this morning, I thought, oh, wow, he's not going to want to come downtown and do a tour and join our podcast. But one might think that our podcast is that influential and important that he couldn't miss this opportunity in case we couldn't get him back on the schedule, which is possible. I mean,
we're very busy.
Or he's a tough guy and this just rolled off him like water off a duck.
Could be either of those, Rich. Correct.
So where else did you take him on the tour?
We went up to the roof of the South Tower, showed him some of our new penthouses, and also showed him the view of the pool and downtown to Circa, and to which his security detail said, "My God, you have pickleball courts. I love pickleball.
Oh, really? No way.
I play 5 to 6 times a week." And I told him, well, I'm one of the best players in the state, and we should have a match. And Steve said he would come and watch and be the referee. So we talked pickleball. We talked future development. I showed him the new residential apartments to the west, showed him the land of the plaza to the south. He had just actually been in Los Angeles with our chairman, Poyu Zabladovich, last week or the week before. By coincidence, they were both at the same event, and showed him some of Poyu's ideas for what could be downtown. So it was a great tour. And then we went over to the convention space. We actually hosted the governor's tourism convention about 3 years ago now, before COVID, and so he remembered the space. But you never know with the governor and his influence that maybe there are other groups and business meetings that we could have that he could send our way. So I wanted him to see the convention space.
Clever.
And then we brought him into Oscars, and we started the podcast.
Today we are joined by the Governor of Nevada. He is the 30th governor and has served since 2019. Welcome, Governor Steve Sisolak, to On the Corner of Main Street.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
This is pretty cool. I said last week I was a little nervous for our guest, but today we have a real star, so it's great that we get to have our governor on this podcast. I think we can safely say the podcast has come of age. We have the governor here. So thank you for joining us.
It's a huge honor. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. I came down from Carson City to be on this podcast.
Just for the podcast. And it was great to be able to show you a little bit about what we're doing here in downtown Las Vegas and all the exciting changes we've made. So we're very proud of it.
It was interesting what you've got planned for outside, and where the sand dollars going in, and that view from up on top is just unbelievable. Just an outstanding view. So
very excited to be able to
big things happening down here.
Yes. Well, sure is. Back here. So let's begin. Tell us where you're from and how you got started and why
you wanted to be in politics?
Well, I was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. My mom and dad both worked. My dad was an engineer. My mom worked at a grocery store called Piggly Wiggly in Milwaukee, and went to school there and graduated. I went to college there too, University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee. And after I was done with college, I decided that I really should get a master's degree. So I'd never been out west, never been frankly west of the Mississippi. So loaded up the car and moved to Las Vegas, and enrolled at UNLV back in 1976.
What was Las Vegas like back then in 1976?
It was a lot smaller than it is now. I mean, I remember when Decatur Flamingo ended at Decatur. There was nothing west of there, and downtown was totally different. We used to drive on Fremont Street.
Really?
So we had vehicles on Fremont Street.
Did you ever hang out here at night in downtown?
No, I was studying. I was in school.
Good answer.
That was the right answer, right?
Good answer. What did you do at UNLV?
I majored in business administration. I got my master's in business administration, and owned a marketing company and worked with one of your in-house celebrities, Doug Stanhope.
Prior guest on the podcast.
Yes.
Oh, really?
As well.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Don't you remember Doug telling us on the episode he worked for the governor?
Yeah.
And he did marketing for, what was it?
American Distributing.
Yes. That was yours. You started that.
That was my partner and I started that, and kept it for a long time. Closed about 10 years ago.
Oh, wow. Oh, up until that recently.
Yeah, so it was. We had it for probably 30 years.
Was Doug crazy then?
Probably not quite as crazy as he is now, but he was crazy then. Yeah, he was a funny guy.
How cool. What a story.
Yeah. And then, so what did you do 10 years ago?
Well, then I wanted to run for office. I, lobbied in Carson City a little bit and ran for the state Senate and lost. And then I gave it second thoughts and ran for the state Senate again and lost one more time.
You're persistent.
I didn't start out real well. Then I ran for the Board of Regents, and I won that seat and served 10 years on the Board of Regents that governs higher education in Nevada, and left there to go on to the County Commission. I replaced Bruce Woodbury, who'd been there, and spent 10 years on the Clark County Commission. I was chair for the last 6 years I was on the board. And then I decided to run for governor. Governor Sandoval was termed out, and threw my hat in the ring and ran in 2018 and started in 2019, and the rest is history.
Wait, weren't you a county commissioner?
I was, yeah. I was 10 years on the Board of Regents and then 10 years
that is
on the
county
commission.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That oversees the strip, though, not downtown.
Correct. Yeah, the strip, the county kind of cuts off at Sahara.
Right.
Everything south of Sahara, the strip is in unincorporated Clark County. The rest is everything north here, downtown, is in the city of Las Vegas.
And you were the first Democratic governor since 1999.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I had a great campaign team when I ran in 2018. It was a great team we assembled and put together, and I think people were ready for change and had some ideas that people liked, and was able to convince people that we had a good vision. And then I got elected, and then along came COVID, which kind of changed everything. Kind of really put a damper on things that we wanted to do, but we've emerging from COVID pretty well. I mean, our numbers are really getting better. And I think the future of Nevada and Las Vegas and downtown is really bright.
Yeah, well, and we're going to get to COVID in a minute. But in terms of as governor, which agencies and what does that actually oversee? Because, I mean, candidly, I'm from England, but I've been here 15 years. I don't think people realize the control and influence governors had until COVID.
Yeah.
And the role of the governor. You appoint the Gaming Control Board. Are there other agencies that?
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of them. We appoint the Gaming Control Board. We appoint the Athletic Commission. We appoint the Cannabis Control Board. We've got DMV is under the governor's office.
Okay.
I have a question for you.
Okay. Yeah. DETR is under the governor's office. Health and Human Services is under the governor's office. We've got an abundance of different agencies and bodies that report to us.
Do you have a favorite?
No. It's like, do I have a favorite between my children? No, I mean, they're all, I am blessed that I've got a great group of people that I work with at the state. I really do. I've got people that care about the state of Nevada. I can tell you what, they're all underpaid. They really are for the amount of work that they put in. They're overworked, but they really care about the state. They care about what's happening, and whether it's the Department of Education or motor vehicles or corrections or whatever it might be, they really take an interest in what they do.
Were you ever involved more? Our podcast focuses on sort of casinos, gaming, and development in the city as well. But were you ever involved more hands-on with the Gaming Control Board in terms of what it does?
No, not until I became governor. Then I've since appointed the Gaming Control Board, the entire board, and the entire commission have been appointed on my watch. So obviously I know all the folks pretty well. I take those appointments extremely seriously. We interview the candidates. It gets narrowed down by my team, and I interview the finalists and make the best choice. And we've been very, very fortunate so far with our Gaming Control Board members and our commission.
Very cool. So when we came in here, you saw a statue of Oscar and Tony Spilotro. The question that comes up a lot is Vegas and our city sort of talks about the mob and the history. What's your thoughts on the mob, the history, and the connection to Las Vegas?
Well, there was clearly some mob influence going back into the 70s and early 80s. I remember well when the Stardust was there, and Lefty Rosenthal used to have a Monday Night Football show there, and people have argued that Oscar represented a lot of those folks. I think he's pretty proud of that fact.
Yeah,
he did a great job. He did a great job, certainly, and I think it's part of the mystique that became Las Vegas.
And you agree with, I mean, there's the Mob Museum, there's so much history around it. Do you agree with sort of acknowledging that history and recognizing that it is a part of how the city was founded, or should we move on from that image?
No, I think it's definitely part of our image. It's something that is part of us. I've been in the museum probably half a dozen times, taking friends that come in from out of town. That's always one of the things they want to see.
Right.
Is the Mob Museum, because people are
fascinated by the
mob.
They
are fascinated by the underworld, as it were. And you see some of that stuff, and it really gives them pause. And I think it creates a mystique of Las Vegas.
Because we're getting a little bit of flack on social media for having a statue of Tony Spilotro, and I'm saying it isn't that we're celebrating him; it's that we're acknowledging the role that he played in the history of the city, and it's a fact. I mean,
the statue's interesting. I don't think Oscar's that tall, though. I really don't. You gave him a couple inches in the statue.
There's a platform above below.
Okay, that's what it is. Okay,
but
no, that's just what it is. I mean, there's obviously some issues with the mob back at that time, but it is what Las Vegas was.
I agree with you.
Jumping over to COVID, we saw you a lot during COVID. What was it like to authorize the shutdown of the Strip, and how did that decision come about? We heard from Wynn and
Wynn and MGM went first, so to speak. They sort of announced it, I think, even before you, right? And we were saying we're going to stay open down here. We had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah, I talked to some of those folks early on, and they knew the problems that we're facing. We knew the problems that we're facing, and my office is right a couple of just blocks away from here, the Grant Sawyer building.
Yeah.
And this is one of the properties that I can clearly see from my window, from my balcony. And I had my team in my office, and I went out on my balcony and said to myself, I got to make a decision to shut down the gaming industry, which is the biggest industry in the state, and 250,000 people working. And the thing that mattered the most to me was saving people's lives. And at the time, that's what we had to do, to save as many lives as we possibly can. I knew we could bring back the economy, because you've seen it come back the way it is right now. And I've got so much confidence in the entrepreneurs and the folks that run these properties. So I decided that for the best of everybody, we're going to have to shut it down. I never thought we'd be facing COVID 2 years later.
Yeah.
This is just really dragged out. But things are really starting to look up, which I'm really thankful for. And I think the future is really, really bright.
I mean, when you say you never thought we'd be dealing with it 2 years later, did you ever think we'd have to, firstly, as governor, you can't imagine you're ever going to have to deal with a pandemic and then the shutdowns. But is there anything that can prepare you for that and help you? Like, I felt as a business owner, there's nothing that can prepare you for that. I mean, the decisions we had to go through and the health and safety things that we had to do here were just, there's no business school for that. You didn't learn that at UNLV business.
No, I certainly didn't. No, there's nothing you can do to prepare yourself for that. You just can't. I mean, we made, hand sanitizing experts out of everybody in every casino property, and being able to estimate 6 foot and 3 foot social distancing and counting the number of people in a room without actually having to do a head count. Became very good at those sort of things, those mitigating factors that were put into place. And it was because, in particular, the gaming industry did so much to make sure that we kept people safe. And it was not just the matter of keeping your members safe, your team members. It's also the tourists that are coming here. We got tourists coming from all over the world coming into Las Vegas. And it was important that they came and they had a good experience and didn't come and catch COVID. So we tried to keep people as safe as we possibly could, at the same time keeping your members safe. And I had to get people back to work. I mean, they'd been out of work and needed the income, and glad we did it when we did.
What a crazy thing to have to go through.
I don't envy you. Is there anything you would have done differently?
In hindsight?
In hindsight, I get asked that all the time. And I don't think, I don't know what I could have done. I mean, at the very beginning, if you remember, we were wiping down our mail, and you'd go to the
Yeah.
grocery store and you had to wipe down all that stuff. And it was crazy, the things that we were doing. And we didn't know enough about the virus. We were not well enough prepared in this state, and I can attest to that. We're doing a better job so that when the next major problem comes along, whether that's, and there's going to be one, whether it's a recession, another pandemic, a natural disaster, and I've lived through a couple. We had one October when I was on the county commission, really devastated our economy, and the recession did. Our unemployment system was not set up to handle this many people. We've made changes, so it'll be better for the people in the future. Our supply chain was not good in terms of getting protective equipment and masks and gowns. We had hospitals that were literally running out of gowns and masks and gloves, and you just can't have that. So now we've got warehouses with strategic supplies of that sort of stuff. So hopefully next time, who's ever here is going to be better prepared 10 or 20 years from now.
That's more things you learned from it as opposed to
Right.
what you could have done different at the time. Did nobody in the business side know what was coming given their operations in China? Like, people were operating there, whether it was the big casino companies or some of the American companies operating there. Didn't they know what was coming?
They did not know the extent to which it was coming. I think they knew there was something coming, and it might be a little more severe than we're being led to believe. I had said earlier that I happened to be in Washington, D.C., just a little bit ahead of that, the National Governors Association meeting. And Dr. Redfield and Dr. Fauci came out and said, look, there's this virus, and we think we've got it under control. It's not the United States. We're going to be okay. And just wanted you to have it on your radar screen. And 6 weeks later, the dam broke loose. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Thank you for
your leadership in that time.
I
Yes,
appreciate it.
Thank you for that. Exactly.
Now switching to economy. You've talked a lot about diversifying the state's economy. I think even during your time with the county commission and as governor, this is something that you've been wanting to do. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I sure can. And one of the issues that we face is Las Vegas will always be, it was the entertainment capital of the world, and then it became the entertainment and sports capital of the world when we brought in professional sports and so many, and a lot more coming, I think. And that'll never change. A lot of conventions, a lot of people come here for vacation. I travel around the country, and when I'm flying in, people are all excited to get on a plane coming to Las Vegas. I'm just coming back home, so it's a little different for me.
Yeah.
But people plan all year to come here for a weekend, and I've got buddies that come for March Madness every single year. They see
Send
their
them
friends.
send them to us. Let us
Yeah,
take
well,
care
have
of
them come on down and sit in a sports book. I mean, for 25 years, I've been meeting every March in Las Vegas to bet on ball games and have a good time. So it's always going to be that. But the economy cannot solely be hospitality and gaming. We need to expand beyond that. Now, in northern Nevada, we've diversified a little bit more. We've got Tesla up there. We've got Panasonic, a big battery factory, and some of those sort of things. But we need to do a little bit more in southern Nevada so that every job is not related to hospitality and gaming. And that's what we saw during COVID. When you had to shut it down, I mean, everybody was out of work. It was just an enormous impact. And we've got to do a little better. We're planning through my Office of Economic Development. We're doing some electrical vehicle companies we've brought in. We brought in several large distribution warehouse facilities, like for Kroger's, Smith's Food Kings, for the West Coast. We've got a couple can manufacturing companies coming in. So we're bringing some companies in, which is a good thing. And those all bring jobs with them, and they're good paying jobs.
I went, and for anyone that wants to hear, because we're not going to make you repeat your whole state of the state, but you just did your state of the state a few days ago. It's excellent for anyone that hasn't had a chance to watch it. You should listen to it on YouTube. I did hear you said that you've donated your salary. Is that something you do every year? Or is that just what you
I
did
made
for
that
COVID?
commitment when I ran for office that I would donate my salary to education.
Every year?
Every year we've donated for it. I'm going on my 4th year now.
I never knew that. You should play that up more.
Yeah, well, it's I donated because I wanted to do some good. I've been blessed. I've been fortunate in my life, and our schools have suffered. So we gave 400 schools will each get $1,000 as a result. Not that my salary is that big as a governor, but over the 4 years, 400 schools will have each gotten $1,000, and they've used it to. I get a letter once in a while. They bought a new gym equipment or new uniforms for their boys and girls basketball teams and that kind of stuff. So it's kind of cool.
Very nice. Well, thank you for that. And the in terms of development, do you pay close attention to things happening in downtown? I know when the Greyhound bus station left, you called me to congratulate me and to say well done on getting that out. But when you walk around and you see from the roof of the plaza the new residential happening down here, the new casinos across the street, do you pay close attention to what's happening down
I do
here?
pay close attention, particularly downtown, because like I say, I drive through here every day on the way to my office when I'm in southern Nevada. I'm probably down here 2/3 of the time now and up north 1/3 of the time. So I'm aware of it. eat in a lot of the restaurants that are in the properties down here, and you know, have meetings down here, and get to walk around on the Fremont Street once in a while. So it's changed a lot since I've been here. In fact, I used to work right across the street at the California Club. That was my first job I had when I came to Las Vegas.
As what? What were you doing?
I was in the hard count room. You know,
Were
the
you
hard
really?
count room, yeah.
I know the hard count room.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't call them anymore soft and hard count as they used to do in the old days, but yeah, it's the count room.
Yeah, it was the hard count room, and we had the big galvanized
That's the
buckets.
coins.
That's the coins, yeah.
So hard count the coins. Now we don't really do that anymore.
Yeah.
Were you involved in the skimming?
Were you skimming?
No. You had big galvanized buckets, and you would unlock the little cabinet under the slot machine, and the quarters or the nickels would all fall in the bucket. And you weighed the bucket. In the back, there was, I think, 4 people on my team, that you push this big cart around like you have at Costco, and you'd just rip off machine number 1, 2, 3, and you put it in the bucket, and you go in the back and you weigh the bucket, and then you poured it in this big machine that rolled it into rolls, and you put them into cans and put the quarters and the nickels back out for them to sell again.
So for anyone that's learning about accounting of slot machines, you just heard it from the governor how you do hard count. We don't really do it anymore. We got rid of our coin games about 2 years ago, but there's a couple still places doing them. California might still have some.
Yeah.
Oh, I think they might have just got rid of them. But anyway, yes, that's how you do the hard count. And then soft count is the cash.
Yeah, that you had to be really, high level to do the soft count room. And but then you also got the best part about the job, frankly, was I was going to school at the time, and in college and didn't have any money, and lived in an apartment that was, I'm embarrassed to say, it was $140 a month. That was my rent. And you got free food when you worked in the casino. So, and the lady felt so sorry for me. She'd let me have the breakfast, and then I could have the lunch buffet too. So I could sometimes get 2 meals a day, and that was my food. That's what I ate. So it was a great memories. Good time.
Wow. And you also mentioned in the State of the State your initiative to provide meals for kids and keep rent low.
Yeah, the Meals for Kids was really hit close to home for me. Last year I was at one of our schools when we had Hot Lunch Week, and I was giving out milk. And for those of your listeners who want to know, chocolate milk was selected probably 5-1 over white milk. All the kids wanted chocolate milk. But they had 2 lines, which I never understood. There was one line, if you were paying for your lunch, you got in this line, and if it was free lunch, you had to go to that line. And I felt so bad for the kids that had to go in the free lunch line because their buddies would go in the other line, and it was basically lunch shaming. And that's something that kids should not have to deal with when they're going to school. So we want to give free lunch to everybody, free hot lunch to everybody, and I think that'll be a good thing. I think it'll ease a lot of the stress that some of these kids are facing.
Now, you mentioned sports coming to Las Vegas. What do you think?
His Twitter proclaims him the biggest fan of the Raiders and the Golden Knights there is.
Yeah,
but you weren't always a Raiders fan, surely.
I wasn't always a Raiders fan. I bought the first 2 season tickets for the Golden Knights. I bought the first 2 when the commissioner came and Bill Foley and the Maloofs were. Was
that when you signed up? You had to sign up for the thing?
You had to sign up for them. I gave them a check when we announced it for the deposit on the tickets, and I've had the season tickets since then. I don't get to go as many games as I used to. The Raiders, we worked really hard to get that stadium there. The stadium came at a really great time for our city, for our state. It created thousands of construction jobs, thousands of jobs, and ongoing. It creates an awful lot of jobs, entertainment. I mean, I had my State of the State there, and a couple days later they had Metallica and then Billy Joel, and got a lot of things planned for that stadium. And
it's amazing how much they're using it.
It is.
I hope they can figure out parking, or maybe the Tesla tunnels, the boring tunnels.
Yeah, maybe it'll be the tunnels. That'll be something. But to think that 2 years from now there'll be a Super Bowl in Las Vegas is just over the top to me. I just can't even imagine that. So watch for a lot more.
We're a sports town now.
Yep,
we're an official sports town. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Looking ahead, what do you think Las Vegas will look like in 2030?
I think that's the best thing you can do is close your eyes and just imagine the coolest place you could possibly make it, and that's going to be Las Vegas. I mean, I've seen Las Vegas reinvent itself so many times. I remember when they installed the volcano at the Mirage, and now they're taking the volcano out. You had a pirate ship thing in front of the TI, Treasure Island. So much has happened. I mean, so much has happened, and the next visionary is going to come up with something that you're going to figure you can't do that anywhere. So, and they'll do it in Las Vegas.
I'll predict in 2030, we'll look back on this, and downtown will be outperforming the Strip.
I agree.
Maybe tenure. So in 2032, downtown will overtake the Strip as the number one destination. People want to come to downtown Las Vegas, and that's my prediction.
People want to come to downtown Las Vegas. I know that it's viewed by an awful lot of people as a warmer environment to be in downtown Las Vegas. You can walk a lot easier in downtown Las Vegas than you can on the Strip. You don't have to go miles and miles. And I think you got a friendly group of folks that work down here. You got a really friendly group of folks that work downtown.
That's what we pride ourselves on. That's the difference. I talk to customers every day.
Yep.
One of the customers was telling me that someone asked him who his host was at the plaza, and they said me. And what could be better than that?
Nothing's better than that. Nothing's better than that. When people come to a place that they're treated nicely, they're treated with respect, they're going to come back. I mean, they want to have a good time. They want to be able to gamble and win or lose a little bit of money. And I think that's wonderful. I think it's wonderful. And downtown has made big inroads.
And we have one last question for you.
Sure.
Do you have any career advice you would give to someone young just getting started in their career?
Things have changed on careers. I remember when my dad, who's passed away now for 18 years, he worked for General Motors, but he worked for 40 years at the same company. You know what I mean? You worked forever at the same company. You never changed jobs. It's not that way anymore. I think kids are going to have 2, 3, 4 careers in their lifetime, which is a positive. But the best advice I can give them is find something that you like to do. Because if you really like to do what you're doing, you're not working. Mm-hmm. And you put in so many hours that your job can be miserable or your job can be great. And you make good friends and work for a good boss, somebody that takes care of you, that really values you. It's a two-way street. And you can help be loyal to your employer. I mean, if somebody takes care of you and you've got a good job, you need to be loyal to them, and the company will be loyal to you. And I just have people that keep an open mind. I mean, right now people are having to change jobs because of the pandemic and the great resignation, as they call it. Some jobs that were eliminated during the pandemic are never coming back. So people have to learn to do something else, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, you keep learning new things.
It's not a bad thing at all. And over the course of history, we've evolved, and technology's evolved and taken over other jobs, and people learn new skills and people do different things. And it's never been proven that technology has actually removed jobs because people find other things to do.
Exactly right. And I
evolve.
remember in the casinos when my mom and dad had come out and visit me, and they were putting quarters in the machine, and their hands were black from the quarter, the stuff, dirt on them. And then they take in the quarters and get jammed, and somebody have to come on and jam the quarters. And then they put in where you can put in the currency now and, tick it in, tick it out, and that makes it good. But it's all changed. I mean, technology is, I remember when the first cell phone came out, it was actually a lady's handbag that you carried, and the phone came out of the bag. And
it was attached to it?
Yeah. Attached to it, yeah. And then the first regular brick phones were huge, and now you got a computer on your phone. It's hard to even imagine that. So I can't imagine where it's going to be in 10, 20, 30 years, but hope I'm around to see some of it.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I know you have a lot more to be doing today, and thank you for taking the time to join us on this podcast.
Well, I appreciate it. No, it's a big opportunity. I hope you invite me more before you have 68 more shows before I get to come back here another time.
We have a lot of listeners on this podcast. I'm sure they'll be interested to hear your story.
I'd love to.
We wish you all the best in your campaign,
Thank you.
Also, for the state, to make sure that we continue to grow and evolve, and you have a big part of. You are the part of that. So,
thank you so much for
our
that.
investment here depends on you.
And I appreciate what you've done, and all our citizens out there, our residents, have done to get us through. We faced a pretty dark time, and not that it's over, but we lost 9,000 Nevadans, and that hurts me every single day. I pray to that fact that there were 9,000 empty seats at Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner tables. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And but we've come through, and I knew business entrepreneurs like yourselves could bring this back. I knew that you'd bring back better and bigger and stronger than ever was before, and you did it. And things are looking really bright for Nevada and for Las Vegas and for downtown. If you haven't been to downtown, come on down and visit.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us today on the corner of Main Street. You can stay up to date with Governor Sisolak on Twitter at Steve Sisolak. We'll be back again soon, but in the meantime, please rate, review, and subscribe. Tell your friends about On the Corner of Main Street, and of course, follow us on social. On Twitter and Instagram, it's at Plaza Pod, and on Facebook, find us at Plaza Podcast. Or go right to the top and tweet Jonathan at Jonathan Jostle. We'll see you next time from right here on the corner of Main Street.